This is Chewing the Gristle, a poetry chat with Al Black and Tim Conroy, and our guest today is poet and spoken word artist Moody Black. Moody Black is a fixture here in upstate South Carolina. He's been a prominent force not just in the upstate of South Carolina, but North Carolina, Georgia. He's a performing poet. He does a lot of teaching. He does a lot of coaching. And he is the host of the longest running open mic in South Carolina and he won the National Poetry Award 2015 for best open mic in the nation. It's called Say What?
Say what?
And it's in Greenville every Sunday at Coffee Underground, 7:30. I've been honored to be on it. And if you haven't gone to it, when this social distancing's over, I heartily approve and encourage you to go to Coffee Underground and see Say What.
Yeah.
So Moody is, if you've been around, as I said, poetry, you know Moody, and he's won a number of awards, and he's actually got a hip-hop CD that's going to be coming out as well, called Manifest in the very near future.
Yes.
With that, I'm going to ask a question here of our friend, and we're going to get this going. My first question would be, when did you discover poetry, and was it written poetry or was it spoken word poetry that really inspired you at the beginning?
It was written poetry. I discovered it around 11 years old when my mom, I always give her a lot of credit. She would force my sister and I to read poetry when we was young. And I remember my mom being a single mom. She's working and she's taking night college courses, and she would bring these thick literature books home and like, here, read this. And like, no, we don't want to read that, Mom. And it wasn't until I was being nosy. My mama had a bookshelf in our house. I'm just playing around. I was bored probably. And I saw this book. And I got the book out. Of course, being young, you're looking for pictures. I'm looking through the pictures. And all the pictures was these beautiful black and white soft images of young people playing and just having fun. So, of course, that led me to read the poems that were attached to it. And the poems about being young and free. So, of course, being 11 and 12, I wanted to be young and free. And that got me into it. The book was called This Time Called Life by Walter Render. West Coast writer, but all the poems are beautiful. So the written form of poetry got me into it, got me hooked. And it's been on ever since then.
And Moody, I know you work, we were talking before we started to record, a lot in schools.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about what you've been doing in schools and maybe some of those experiences.
I'm a teaching artist, and what that means is that I get with the teachers to whatever they got going on when I get there for that week, whatever's in their curriculum. So as a teaching artist, I work with the teachers to implement poetry in their curriculum. So no matter what they're talking about, whether it's the civil rights movement, or it could be the Civil War, or anything in history, or no matter what this topic is, my job is to find a fun way to bring poetry into, or even in art classes, we've done art projects where I implemented poetry. But my job is to make poetry fun, to introduce the kids another way of writing, another way of thinking about writing, and we have a good time. I make it fun as possible, and they write poems. A lot of them be great poems. A real quick story, I was at a school in Greenville, and matter of fact in Piedmont, which is in Greenville, and when I got done, we had like an open mic to present the poems we wrote, and the teacher came to me crying, and she told me about one of the kids that shared never says anything in the class, never. And that was the first time they said more than a complete sentence in front of everybody. They read a poem. And that was like a real touching situation to me and to her, that this one kid, never forget, this redheaded kid, he was quiet the whole time I was there. So the final day, he got on stage and read a poem. And it was a beautiful experience. So those type of things that happen really make it worthwhile, man, just to have a kid, a student who's gotten encouraged to share whatever's on their heart about whatever we're writing about, whatever topic I give them. They have the ability to get up there and share in front of people, in front of their whole class, you know. So it's beautiful.
That's awesome. So talk a little bit about the team and how.
Say what? Say what?
Say what? Say what?
Yeah. So shout out to Kimberly Sims Gibbs. She started this open mic almost 18 years ago in Greenville, South Carolina, to provide a safe space for artists and to have a real diverse setting where people of all walks of life can share their poetry. And I never forget me start going there. I would drive from Spartanburg to Greenville, even though I'm in Greenville now, but I would drive every Sunday to like maybe 8 to 10 people in the crowd to now we're packed on Sundays. So I seen it grow. I seen people come in. We built a community, and we have a poetry slam team called Say What. So we end up naming it after the open mic. So anytime somebody have their announce that they have a new piece, we all yell out, "Say what!" And we took that name to just be our brand, to be the Say What open mic, Say What poetry slam team. And yeah, it's all about sharing your experiences with life. I was coaching. A matter of fact, Kim was my slam coach. Then she turned it over to me, and I was the slam coach. And I just retired last year. And the new coach, shout out to my man Black Phoenix. He's the new slam coach for the poetry slam team. And it's an awesome experience just to see us grow as a community.
And that's incredible. And so for a young person, if they want to get into performance poetry, what sort of advice can you give them?
I always tell people, go to as many open mics as possible. One, get up there and share your story. Two, to be an active listener, to listen to the other poets and listen to them tell their stories, to be supportive, because you want that support. It goes both ways. Then you learn from the people, the seasoned poets who's been coming to that open mic. You pick up nuances of the craft and you practice honing your skill as far as performing. Get in front of a mirror, practice different ways of saying your poem till you find your voice. Find your voice and run with it. Run wild. Run like the wind. And just keep going.
Moody, can we find your voice right now? Because I'd love to hear a couple poems by you. Yeah. It would be wonderful.
Okay, I do this poem. It's called Priceless. It's actually on my YouTube channel, and I actually performed it at my TEDx presentation as well. But it kind of goes along with you just asked me to get people to tell their story, to really find something special in it. Despite people saying whatever about poetry, you find your voice and roll with it. So this is called Priceless. This is for the poets that go place to place and not make a penny. For hoping somebody give one for their thoughts, because thoughts are all that poets have to give. So you hope that somebody would at least give you something, especially after the landlord hands you an eviction notice. So after stressing, you flip that piece of paper over, scribble some lines, and 9 times out of 10, you keep it because you have to deal with both sides of that paper. Now, on one side of that paper is the date, where you got to have all your stuff out that house. But on the other side, it's a poem. And not just any poem, but a poem to become the soundtrack to your sanity. Instead of having a nervous breakdown, you broke down your struggles with the pen and sank your sadness and sorrows with a stanza or a sonnet in hopes to make tomorrow a better day. Some say you better pray because heaven and stress can prey on your soul. So pour out your soul to a soul that will listen. Going place to place, emptying out your soul, and sometimes leave empty pockets. But you wouldn't trade in that therapy session that some people call reciting a poem for anything in that moment. It's priceless. This for all those who do not know that they are poets. And at some point in English class, you flip past the poetry section to set yourself away to say, oh, poetry's not for me, or poetry's boring. Those who never seen themselves soaring in the blue skies, resting on white clouds, wearing a white tee with all whites and a white fitted hat that reads free. Those who never seen themselves wearing that same outfit on a stage or platform, mic or no mic, only because you never seen yourself. But if you see yourself, you free yourself. Instead of repping your hood, you can put on a hoodie, write a poem, and make a movement. Because once you see somebody giving you their heart, souls are moving. It don't cost that much to do it. Just go down to the dollar store, get a pack of pens and a composition notebook for $2 and some change for a chance to change somebody's life. In that moment, it's priceless. And finally, y'all, this is for me. Ever since I was a fetus in Pearl Reba's womb, visualizing this day, hoping someone to inspire me to write a poem to inspire change in somebody's life, screaming for it to come out, because the only outlet is this poetry when you feel like a penguin without a heart song to your happy feet. Move to the beats and the rhymes of the hopes of having a better day. She read a poem in every debt notification and every bill to the world knows you only owe them the sincerity of your words. In your early in life, we all thought poetry was boring, but it take you going to some things, putting it down on paper that you're going to some things to make it all worthwhile. And your poets, we feel like our poems are worth millions. But until someone give you their last $5 to buy your CD because you inspired change in their life, despite them being a paycheck away from being homeless, well, that moment is priceless. That's that piece. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
That's awesome. Yeah, just so I'm gonna hand this to. I'd love for you to read another one before I hand it to Al, because you know his questions are so long.
Oh. Oh Lord, no. Since the questions are long. I think what I'm gonna do.
It's like the difference between Obama and Trump. Obama uses.
Wow.
Oh no! Oh no! You did not.
No. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Well, if I could, I want to read one. If I can pull it up real quick. I'm sorry, gentlemen. All right, so this particular poem. So I can scoot you guys over a little bit while I read. I'm gonna read this poem. Okay. I'm gonna read this one. This is called The Revolution. A little humor, but it's kind of serious at the same time. All right, Revolution. One day, you're going to realize that we're the ones that's always been there for you. Through thick and skin, I must say with every pun intended that you scrubbed us the wrong way. I hear people say that we are just scars. Shouldn't we be reminder? Forgot we were once connection. They say we are just leftovers, like last week's lunch, like ex-lover labeled us forgotten. But see, we know all of your dirt. And today, everyone is going to know how you leave us in the dust. Uh-oh. Oh, here we go. How you leave us lingering in the dust. Never give us the attention we deserve. Ain't been the same since we were cut off. We should know what neglect tastes like. 1 second. Oh, my phone. I'm sorry, gentlemen. I'm having to scroll. We should know what neglect tastes like. So now, I call upon my sisters and brothers that's in the middle of the struggle. They say we all look alike, but we don't. Therefore, it's time we belly up, because it seems y'all could never stomach us. Hence, today will be known as the Belly Button Revolution. Because here in America, it seems people have something against us, where we are tired of this cover-up. Since we look different than the rest of your body parts, we get ignored. Our backs are always against your walls. Americans have always tried to hide us. Did you know that we couldn't be shown on TV until 1983? But it's funny that we have the most freedom overseas, even celebrated by the Japanese. In the Middle East, they have a dance to show us off. Ooh, in several countries on the continent of Africa, they show us off with pride, get all that sun. But here in America, we all get shunned. But we are at the center of your whole being. You can't do a sit-up are a crutch without seeing us. Your interaction with others depend on us. You can't kiss, hug, or make love without feeling us. So, fellow belly buttons, it's time we start raising up. They even got a poetry station called Button. Ain't that something? So, we're the inspiration for all those little knobs on your body parts and pants and shirts. How dare you pay us no attention and let us collect dirt? We are the center of your universe. We are the connection to whatever God you believe in. We allowed you to eat. We were attached to you before you became complete. The connection to your mama when you were just in fetal position. So you are in no position to be opposition to our position. I'm sorry to get all naval on y'all, but this is our coming out party. America has denied us of our glory. True story. Some folk claim they just want to adorn us with rings and piercings, call it decoration and fashion. We call it attempted murder by stabbing, but we know how y'all Americans do. Cause others pain to make yourself look pretty. Most times no regards of what we think. But it's hashtag belly buttons matter. This is our uprising. We will no longer be ignored, and we won't stop until the innies are outies. So America, you have to deal with us. Realize you cannot move without us. We need each other. Let us unite and make this whole body beautiful. That's that piece.
That's cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Brother Al.
Yes. So my question is going to be in regards to process. Your process for doing a page poem as opposed to a spoken word poem. Do they start out the same? And in making a spoken word poem, what determines a good spoken word poem? Is it the musicality of it?
Okay. Number one, I start out pretty much the same. Whether I'm going either direction, it's pretty much the same. Now, one thing when I started getting to slam poetry, I challenged myself just to write a good poem. I think a lot of us get too involved in separating what we wanted to write. So I trained myself just to write a good poem. But as I got older and wiser, there is a distinct difference. No matter how much I tried to fight it, there is a difference. With a page poem, it could be small. It could be short. It could be a micro poem. It could be a haiku. I don't know how effective I would be if I just read one haiku and expect to change the world with it. But if I wrote a poem with a purpose, because that's the thing about it, determining the purpose of the poem. Now, if I want to entertain, to give a message, yeah, there's some nuances and techniques I have to really put inside that poem versus I'm just going to convey this message and on this piece of paper and just let it do what it do versus I have to present it. So now there's some a lot of devices I have to use, whether it's literary or poetic devices, and also some performing devices and techniques I have to administer in that poem. So that's the clear-cut difference with the page poem versus a spoken word piece. With the page poem, I don't have to rely so much on the performance techniques versus the actual poetic techniques and devices. Whereas if I'm going to perform it or make it a spoken word piece, yeah, I got to be able to have the theatrics. I got to be able to stretch or verbally stretch certain words. Or if I have like a rich rhyme, well, rich rhyme wouldn't work if I'm reading it versus I can make it sound the same if I'm performing it because you're hearing how my voice dictates how it goes, if that makes any sense. So there's a difference.
Example.
Example, like I'll tell you the king of rich rhyme. It may not be poetry for standard poetry, but in hip hop, because I love hip hop, like Eminem is like a king of rich rhyme. And rich rhyming is making words rhyme that wouldn't normally rhyme or wouldn't look like they rhyme on paper. You know what I'm saying? I can make because and dog rhyme, even though on paper it doesn't look like the same. But because of either my dialect or how I stretch that word, I can make it rhyme. You know.
Okay.
Like say, yeah, I'm doing such because I got to go walk my dog. You know, I can make it rhyme, but if I read because and dog on the paper, it wouldn't like it's rhyming.
Yeah, so Moody, I know, one of the questions I've asked people on Chewing the Gristle is how you put your faith, your belief, the daily grind of living, everything, your experiences into your poetry and make it work without going too, with a, how do you do it so it's a good poem still and not just saying me, but make it just sort of work for everybody?
A couple of things, and I give credit to a lot of mentors and a lot of people who I had, on my slam team. Poetry slam has taught me a lot, not only in the world of slam, but just as a writer in general. One of my former teammates, shout out my man Moses, he told me his process a long time ago was, and he shared it with me, he said, Moody, you want to write a poem where you can pretend you're not the writer and ask yourself, would you enjoy listening to your poem? So that's the main thing is, once you write it, if I was somebody else, would I like this poem? You have to keep that in mind, because so, like you said, sometimes we get so much involved in the ego part of it, we're not letting go and asking ourselves, hey, would someone else enjoy hearing me going about what I'm talking about? You have to keep those things in mind if that's your goal. Now, if you want to be an ego writer, it's just for you, that's fine. But if you're actually trying to change the world or improve situations or educate people, you got to be able to think like the other person. How would I make this digestible for someone else?
And that's almost like the same response another poet gave us. She put it like, I like to make my poems, I like to think about how they can serve the other.
Right.
What you're saying, how do you make it of somebody,
Right. That's the main thing. And two, I always I have people I can call that keep me in check. If I'm reading a poem, I say, what you think about this poem? And they'll be honest. I have a good core friend. So that's the main thing. Find a circle of people who are going to be honest with you. And they'll let me know, nah, man, you need to change that. Or what are you trying to do? What is your purpose? And as hurtful as it may be, because people are sensitive about their art, you have to be real with yourself. And a lot of people have gotten so sensitive they can't see what's real and what's not. And
yeah, I know what you're saying. For that new writer going through, like when they start trying to share, but they're not winning, they're not necessarily winning the prize, but they're out there still learning. What sort of words do you give them to encourage them through that rejection a little bit?
Well, I guess first of all, you have to know your purpose. What's the prize to you?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I tell, when I talk to the kids, I've been in hundreds of poetry slams, and I may have only won 10 out of 200 or 300. You know what I'm saying? But that doesn't bother me though. That doesn't hurt my feelings that I only won maybe 10. I can count on my hands how many poetry slams I won personally out of the 100 or 200s I competed in. That shouldn't make or break you, because you should know your purpose first and foremost. Why are you writing? I always ask you, why? What's your why? Are you writing this to win slams? Okay, you're in a hard road, bro. You're gonna drive down a long road that's gonna make you sad and mad. Or are you wanting to actually touch people's lives or change or give a new perspective on something? If that's your goal, you may win some, you may lose some. But the biggest reward to me out of the hundreds or 200 slams that I've lost is somebody coming to me, even if it's one individual saying, yo, I needed that. Thank you for that. That gave me a new perspective. That changed my life. Or, hey, now I thought about killing myself. You know what? Now I'm changing my mind. That gave me life. To me, that should be the most important thing, is serving your purpose. I used to think it was cliche when people say poetry saved lives. Whatever. So I started seeing it. At least it gives people a chance to rethink their life. I can't say it's a cure-all. I always tell people, if you need counseling, get counseling. But it's a step. It's a door opening. You may not be cleaning the whole house up, but you're inside the house now. You know what I'm saying? And
I like your first poem. It's a change, you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's a new perspective. So for any of these young writers, y'all listen up, man. Tell your story. I did a workshop where I know poets who gotten so much on higher echelon, they call it ranting. Like they don't like rant poems. That's just a rant. It's just ranting. But I call it expressive writing. That's the proper term for a rant poem, where you just writing the pure part of your thoughts. The purest poetry ever is I'm just going to write and let it flow. That's expressive writing, but it's known as a rant. And somehow or another, especially in the poetry slam community, they hate rants. And especially if you get beat by somebody doing a rant poem, they hate that. But to me, I'm like, yo, that's how that person felt. And those judges, they understood what that poet felt. So there you go. So it can't be a bad thing if you're trying to rant, because maybe somebody feel the same way. When they feel like ranting, you express it in a way they get it. So sometimes it's not all flowery language or chock full of poetic devices. Sometimes it's pure, unadulterated emotion, and that's okay. And I would tell you to do that. Anybody trying to be a poet, start off that way first. Then as you grow, you'll be able to craft and edit and hone your poems. And I tell people, edit at least 3 times minimum. You get 3 edits. Now, if you want to grow and shape your poems to something else, at least 3 edits. But if you just want to start out as a writer, start with the purest form, expressive writing. Just get it out first, because that's going to be therapeutic for yourself and somebody else who may gain something from it. Because that's how, and especially in the slam community, I'm not the same poet I was when I first started. That took me growing and studying and gaining the experience to be a better writer and performer. So there'll come in time, young people.
Well, good. You've actually touched on a number of things I was going to ask you, but on the revising.
Yes, I beat you. Yes.
You read my mind.
Yes, I got telepathy.
But is a poem ever done?
No, it's not. Never done. You may feel like it's done. And there's poems I haven't touched in years. But maybe next year I may read it again. I said, you know what? Maybe if I add this line here, maybe I take this word out. It's never done. Even if you just make the most minuscule changes to it, you made a change to it. It's never done. Never done.
Okay. So, can you share a couple more poems with us?
Okay. Now, I'm trying to read some. I don't know. When I scroll, y'all screen go away. Do y'all still hear me and stuff, right?
Right.
We actually see you.
Yeah, we see you too.
Okay. Oh, cool. I was worried. That's why I was pausing so much, because I didn't know. I'm like, oh, man, they're gone. Oh, my gosh, they're gone.
Oh, yeah. So that when you were making them faces and upset, it's all recorded, man. It's going to go out there.
Oh, wow. Oh, shoot. Okay. Well, at least I know this time, so y'all can still see me. That's good. I feel better about that. So I have this new piece I'm memorizing called The Joker. All right. Of course, you know it's inspired by the movie.
It's a good joke.
Nothing's funny. See, I have a condition. I have psychopathic laughter. And for me, it's something I can't control. I mean, why cry over something that does not make sense? Like when James Harris Jackson, a white man, followed Timothy Kaufman, a 66-year-old black man, and stabbed him repeatedly with the sword. And after turning himself in, he stated, I was looking to get black men scared and have them do reciprocal attacks and inspire white men to do the same. Isn't that crazy? Or like Emmett Till, at age 14, was accused of whistling at a white woman. When the lady's husband heard about it, him and his goons hunted him down, gouged out his eyes, shot him in the head and threw his body tied to a cotton gin fan with barbed wire into the Tallahatchie River. And y'all wonder why we scared. We always knew that they killed black people no matter 14 or 66. And now I'm always smiling, still considered second-class citizen, still have to ask for civil liberties, still told to let the past go, but the past got close to a 500-year chokehold on my people. It's a killing joke. I'm sorry. It's not funny. I know nothing's funny. See, I have a condition. I have psychopathic laughter. But for me, it's something I can't control. But it's funny how one race don't like another race because of how another race looks or thinks. Or they think we don't have the capabilities to think. They think we're expendable. It seems like they have lost their minds, that we keep losing our Oscar Grants, Trayvon Martins, Sandra Bland's, Philando Castiles, and still people are tired of hearing their names in a poem. But if you don't say their names, they died twice. Isn't that funny? Or the Kiki Kin when they killing us. It's a knee slapper when they slap us in the face. A hardy har 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 when a black body hits the ground. It's just me or Ben's getting crazy out here because there's no more Marcus Garvey, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. They made a suicide squad of our Black Panthers. We're just hoping a dark night returns because it's always a death in the family, a sunset troubling the innocent because they keep promising us the dawn of a new day. Isn't that funny? America, we've been scared of young white males that grow up and wear white to cover up their faces, paint the smile with blood of black folks, and kill for the fun of it. But America sympathizes with those jokers as long as it's black people dying. It's a manslaughter of cracking up. It's a lynching of giggles. It's an assassination that'll leave you in stitches. They will Dylan Roof our will to live. I know. Nothing's funny. See, I have a condition. I have psychopathic laughter. And sometimes you got to laugh to keep from crying. And it seems whether we live or die is something we can't control. Isn't that funny? That's that piece.
Yeah, that's an awesome piece. That's just unbelievable. Let me ask you.
Yes.
We're getting close to wrapping up. And I wanted to ask and let everybody know what you're working on now these days that's exciting you. And you know, for the people that are listening out there that are school administrators, how can they get in touch with you to get you in the schools and all, and just tell us a little bit.
Sure, no problem. Yeah. Number one, like I said earlier, I've just been inspired. Like these two pieces, like they're brand new. Like I'm actually excited about memorizing those pieces. And when we get back to somewhat of normalcy to get on the stage and perform them, I'm excited about doing that to see what comes of it because I've yet to perform these pieces. So I'm anxious about that. I have a hip hop project I'm working on. It's my second solo hip hop project. It's called Manifest, which is some positive hip hop and some of which telling my story in hip hop form. I got some singles out that's on iTunes, Spotify, Tidal. My main thing I love is Bandcamp. My site is moodyblack.bandcamp.com. It's easier as an artist to navigate, whereas when I go to my distributors, and once I make a change, it's done. I can't change anything. With Bandcamp, I can go back and edit something and still release it and people can download it. So I'm excited about the project. I got some singles out. I just released a single called This Life. It's an ode to being Southern and featuring real talented brother named A. Bonds. I have L.C. Branch, who's a great guitarist and singer. And I have Max Hightower, who plays the harmonica. So it's a real down-home feel in the hip-hop form. It's a blend of all those elements, neo-soul, country, blues, and hip-hop in one song. It's called This Life. So it is on Bandcamp. iTunes and other stores should have it available in the next 5 days. Yeah, so I'm doing a lot of virtual workshops. I'm doing one-on-ones, and I'm doing a group Zoom workshop every 2 weeks. But every day people book me. Like I have something in the morning. So a lady in Texas, I'm doing a one-on-one writing workshop with her. One of my fellow poets who's in the military, she's overseas. I did one with her the other morning. So I'm doing those. And I teach chess to people who just want to know how to play the game. So, yeah.
You have a lot going on, man.
I have to.
Yeah. Hey, Brother Al.
Well, we're coming to the end of this interview, but it's It's been a great interview, and for those out there watching this today, Moody Black is a national touring art audience. Look him up. You can find him on the web. Book him. As he said, with this, one of the beauties of this time, this pandemic, is we are learning more and more that we can communicate virtually.
Yeah.
He can teach someone in California. He could come to your classroom in California. You know, there is no limit. He doesn't have to get in his car to come to your classroom no more.
Exactly. And let me say this, Al. I just did a couple of weeks ago, University of Lille, I can't remember, but it's in France. I did a class at a university. I spoke to the class in France, you know, so I can, yeah. But my website is IamMoodyBlack.com. Real simple, no special spellings, no special accent marks. IamMoodyBlack.com. And that's my handle for everything on social media. I am Moody Black, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok. I don't know what I'm doing on TikTok, but I'm there. But yeah, you can check me out and all those various platforms.
Again,
thank you, Moody.
Thank you, Moody. And
thank you guys. Y'all are awesome.
And thank you for everything you do beyond just your own poetry. You're very important to us here in South Carolina.
Man, I appreciate it. That means a lot, man. I love South Carolina, man. I'm trying to give it a positive light. We need some positive light in South Carolina.